All right, y'all. What's up? What is up? What is up? What is up? We in for a good show today on your favorite podcast, Mike Fulahope podcast, the Mike Fulahope podcast. Man. Well, first of all, let me start by saying this. I'm wearing a jacket. Y'all see me wearing this jacket. It's hot as hell. Excuse my language. It's hot in here, but I thought the fit was so nice. You know, I got on some nice. I got the ripped pants. Nice little beige jacket, little polo, and the Yeezys on. But, you know, I might take a selfie. First things first, let me start off. Before I even get on to what we talking about today, I just want to say rest in peace to, her name is, I think, Shakia Allen. I posted about her on my Facebook and on my Instagram. What happened to her, my spirit, like, it messed up my spirit a little bit, so I had to post about it. I'm sorry. And I went off, and I sent my condolences to the family of Shakia Allen. I went off on Facebook because I was so frustrated at what I saw. Basically, for y'all that don't know, a young black girl in Baltimore, Parkville, this is Baltimore County area, was shot and killed by her boyfriend in broad daylight. And the video circulating around on Facebook. I wasn't gonna post it, but like I also felt like not enough people was nobody's talking about it enough. I'm like, yo, did y'all just not see? And I know killings happen all the time, but this was just like so inhumane. I'm just like, I send my condolences to the family, and I hope, you know, I didn't offend anybody for what I posted, because I basically said, men, stop killing our sisters. Sorry, I had to put some chapstick on. Stop killing our sisters. Get some therapy if y'all got these emotional issues. And I also said, women, y'all gotta stop chasing after these emotionally weak men, because it's getting y'all killed. And, you know, I said that in general. I don't know what Shakia Allen's situation was, but as a general thing, I do notice that a lot of these young girls, black girls, that be in these situations and doing research on her situation, they get in these little relationships with these guys. There be multiple instances, domestic abuse cases, incidents that happened before an incident like this happened. And it seems like it could have been avoided. But, man, rest in peace. What it is, what, you know. But let's just change the subject. This is not what we hear today. Positive vibes. We got a fun talk and discussion today. It's for my Marylanders. Today's topic. Oh, dang it, my Maryland flag's kind of wrinkled. Whatever. Today's topic is D.C. versus Baltimore versus PG County versus Arundel County. And we're gonna have fun with this because that's my home. This is my hometown, y'all. And there's differences in the culture for those who are not from Maryland, those who are not from the DMV, as we call it, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area. You don't know the differences. You don't know the culture. Matter of fact, to people here, sometimes it ain't just the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. It's basically the DMVB. DC, Maryland, Virginia, and Baltimore. So we're going to talk about this today. Let's start with the obvious two differences and then branch out. Basically, DC, I'm not going to talk about Virginia. I'm not going to get on Virginia. Virginia, I might have to do a whole different episode on DMV. What does the DMV stand for? But we're going to talk about DC and Baltimore, the biggest differences right there. And then you'll understand the differences between PG County and Arundel. DC is the district. It's the city where the White House is. You got all your government buildings out there. You got all your government jobs, politicians. You got like, you know, like in Chicago they got the L train, and in New York they got their subway. We got our metro in DC. The culture in DC is very vast, but it's kind of like split kind of between four sections. You got Southeast DC, Northeast DC, Northwest DC, and Southwest DC. Northwest DC, that's where all the White House is, all those government buildings, corporations, kind of. I'd say Northeast DC used to be, if we do like racial demographics, it used to be like super black. All DC used to be black. All of DC used to be black. But like now you got like a lot of, due to a lot of gentrification, it's like kind of mixed in Northeast DC. Matter of fact, I was even talking to my homie, my cameraman, the other day. He was telling me about, that they're being. I thought he was kind of overreacting about how bad DC was, but like he was telling me about like some of like the stuff that was going on, like the hoods and like stuff like that, and how bad it's getting where these young kids are just like kind of, the young bippers is out, man. Your cars are not safe. These young kids are jacking like a mother. But basically, Northeast got Howard University. Excuse me. It has a lot of new condos and new luxury houses that are being built, mixed in with kind of like older version of Northeast DC, like older kind of developments that have been there for a while, and have some of your older residents that are sitting on property. Southeast DC has the reputation of being the bad part of DC, I guess you could say, but it's still a really pretty black, even though everywhere in DC is getting gentrified. But Southeast has like a lot of historical, I would say a lot of historical sites. Everybody knows the famous Benning Road. That's where all the rappers be talking about in their areas. Southeast got, all the what do you call it? Church's Chicken, and your famous schools. Shrimp Boat, I think, is in Southeast DC. A lot of famous DC landmark, all your Go-Go's and stuff like that. I think I got a couple cousins that lived there, and I feel like I had a girlfriend or two that was there, or dated a girl from there, actually. So Southeast has that reputation. You got your little, they're not row houses. They just like I don't even know what you call them. They're just project sections, little apartment sections all throughout Southeast. But it's increasingly getting gentrified, and the attitude that exists in Southwest is slowly seeping into Southeast too, I see, because DC period is just prime property. People want to live there. People want to be closer to the district, to the city, and they are pushing Negroes out. Some of us are passively allowing them to push us out, but that's a different topic for a different day. A lot of your famous rappers and stuff come from Southeast and Northeast. Now, Northwest is more of probably like a college town, a little bit more wealthier than and attended to than some of the other parts of DC, because a lot of rich people live out there. I would say a lot of it's college townish. You're closer to Georgetown and Chevy Chase, and not that far away from Silver Spring, and that whole little area in Northwest DC it's got a lot of like pocketed houses and how they're pocketed communities. A lot of people, like, matter of fact, one of the CEO of the company I worked for, they lived in Northwest. So yeah, that's kind of like the map of DC. But the culture of DC is very much, even though different, there's a DC culture. Like, you'll meet like a lot of people from DC that's kind of like, if they're like bougie, if they're like professionals, urban professionals, or whatever, there's another name for them, yuppies and uppies, or young urban professionals, yada yada, or just professionals in general. A little bit more political, a little bit more successful in their framework of what success is. Formally educated, if you want to say that, because like I said, all the colleges and universities around, the wealth that exists in those areas, right? But then you get, and I'm speaking strictly from a black perspective on this, you get the culture of like DC that sticks out. And I'll explain this and then go into PG County. DC is heavy with the go-go music. Go-go music is like, it's like a band. It's like a band music that's native to DC. You use congos and drums, and they do a lot of like, these bands do like covers of famous songs, and they turn it into go-go songs, and it'd be fire. You got your mambo sauce. Everybody talk about mambo sauce, this red sauce. They got their own version of it in like Chicago, but like, it's not the same. No disrespect to y'all, because it's not the same. And you might catch they got their own little slang. You might catch them, people say slim and far as a mug. The younger kids say that's champ, meaning like that's whack and stuff like that now. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of jaw like. That makes me laugh every time. I'm not gonna get into all the slang here, but that, I feel like it'll take too much time. But maybe I'll get. All right, jaw like is like when you say something like it's sorta, kinda, or like you emphasize something, like he jaw like phony for real, like he sort of like phony for real or something. You know what I mean? Like they have their own slang that still is very much relevant. And the dress, DC, don't let anybody disrespect or tell you otherwise. DC is popular for making New Balances famous. DC and then Baltimore, but I think it started in DC because a lot of it's actually related to drug dealers, like the 70s and 80s. They didn't want to be too hot with their money. They wasn't wearing like Nike and stuff like that. So they because they didn't want people to notice that they had the money that they had. So they decided to wear something more discreet, which was New Balance, and it stuck with the whole city. So then they wear them little New Balance 993s and 990s or whatever. And that's pretty much the thickness of, that's the thick culture that exists in DC. Now, getting into PG County. PG County is the same exact thing as DC, except it's more watered down and suburban. So, and you got, the closer you get to DC, you got like hoods that mimic other hoods, or you got like what you call richer neighborhoods, upper echelon people that have neighborhoods the same, just like in DC they have these same kind of upper class neighborhoods in PG County. But as far as the culture, it's a little watered down. Like, for example, like I am from Bowie, and you might have hoods in DC or in like outskirt PG County regions, Hyattsville, Capitol Heights. I say, no disrespect. Anything with a heights, a hill, or anything with the heights, a hills, or a ville in it, there might be some hood around. Forestville, Oxon Hill, Capitol Heights, Hillcrest Heights, Marlow Heights. Marlow Heights not that bad, but there might be a little element to it. You might have to watch your car a little bit, but the essence, the people there is rich. A lot of our, like I said, I'm from the north side of PG. Like, you know, a lot of people like kind of like side eye the Bowie natives because Bowie actually is PG County. This is what you gotta say about PG County. PG County itself is, at one time, it was my whole childhood actually, until recently, was the richest black county in the United States for black people. Black people prospered the most in PG County, Prince George's County, more than any other place. The Black Mecca is in PG County. It's not Atlanta. It's not New York. It is not Baldwin Hills in California, even though that's a lot of wealth out there too. But it was in PG County in terms of average family income or median income and all that. Now I think it's like Charles County, which is the county right next over, in PG2, which is because a lot of like older black folks from PG County, in my opinion, they started moving towards Charles County after the pandemic. They took that wealth there because it's cheaper, a little bit more affordable. In some cases, it's still pretty expensive, if you ask me. But and you know, they pushing out DC folk, not to blame them, but they pushing out DC folks into PG County. So I mean, some of them salary statistics have been lowered. It's like, no, I'm playing with my DC dudes. But PG County, like I said, it was at one time the richest black county. It was Prince George's County, Black Mecca or Black Wealth, and Pretty Girl County. You see some of the most beautiful sisters in the world from Pretty Girl County and PG County. But what was kind of, like I said, I'm from Bowie. It was kind of looked at a certain way because a lot of the kids from Bowie, I always make fun of them, be like, you know, they don't know whether they want to be rich kids or hood kids, because a lot of them, you know, like including my own, like my parents weren't like wealthy. They didn't grow up in the same situation that I grew up in at all. And I'm not from the hood, you know, but you know, we still are very much culturally, I'm still very much culturally, anything that's African American related, that's considered my culture. So you'll find a lot of Bowie kids or like PG County kids, like parents might be driving Mercedes Benz, or like, you know, you living in a nice single family home, but they listening to drill or crank music or car or not what they call free car music now, or like they dressing like the style that DC had with New Balances and the Heeman and Halley or what, H&H drinks, or they wearing the little, what you call it, jacket belts or something like that that's relevant to PG County. So that's what you have a lot. And you have like a lot of like, I'm speaking specifically in Bowie and like Laurel, some people in Largo, Kettering, parts of Capitol Heights, Glendale, definitely. Like, you have a lot of older black folks that are successful. Woodmore is like the richest part of PG. I mean, richest city in PG County is probably Woodmore or Glendale by far. You got probably Fort Washington is in there, like parts of Upper Marlboro. A lot of these people are black people that have made it successful. Maybe some of them were from the hood and don't want to look back, or they were poor, you know, from the South, and educated, successful. They don't want, you know, certain elements in their community anymore because they've made it. The bougie and boule class of black folks lives in PG County, or one of them at least. So that's what you get with PG. Now, I'm telling you all this because that's this side. The DC influences PG County and Montgomery County, but we'll get into Moco later. That's, you know, Moco and Virginia, I'm gonna put y'all out over here. We'll talk about y'all in a different video. We'll talk about Moco later. My friend, she's from Mocha. She's always like, "Oh, you gotta talk about Montgomery." I'm like, "Okay, Mocha niggas." Okay, so if you were gonna look at it, and PG County. That's another thing about PG. Like, yeah, like I said, you got hoods in PG, but you also got a lot of in the suburbs. You got a lot of forestry and like not country. It's not really country, even though Maryland. I want y'all to understand this. Maryland is a southern state. It's under the Mason-Dixon line, so technically, like we're like a southern state with northern swagger, with a northern lifestyle. Because like we're the wealthiest state in the United States. People don't know this. Highest incomes, salaries, median incomes all come out of here. Not the highest paying jobs, but the people have the highest incomes out here. I think the highest paying jobs are actually in Silicon Valley and like California, but highest median incomes are out here. But it just sucks because the cost of living is so high. But Maryland's technically a southern state, so you'll have a lot of not necessarily country, but southern looking areas, forestry, a lot of wildlife, and then like you'll see deers. Like there's deers everywhere, nigga. It's deers everywhere, bro. Deers are all throughout Maryland. They have foxes, but yeah, you rarely see them. Raccoons, a lot of possums. Oh, deers, possums, and groundhogs are everywhere in Maryland. And then crabs. That's what we're named after, the crab. Like all the sea life. When you start talking about like near Annapolis region and Chesapeake, that's what I'm talking about next. Anne Arundel County. So important thing for y'all to remember: DC right here, and its little brother is PG County. Okay. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, what is completely different than Washington, D.C. is what's in the M. Baltimore. Baltimore and D.C. are like competing brothers and sisters or whatever. Baltimore is in Maryland, but it's so unique. It's such a unique city in Maryland that they themselves, Baltimore natives, sometimes separate from Marylanders, and Marylanders might say Baltimore is a part of Maryland, but they also know that, like, hey, if I grew up in St. Mary's County or Cumberland or Annapolis, even Annapolis kind of has some Baltimore stacks to it, but if I grew up in, Laurel, if I grew up in PG, I'm not from Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? They have their own thing. Okay. So Baltimore is a beautiful city. Don't ever let nobody disrespect Baltimore. Baltimore is a beautiful city, right? The reputation is that Baltimore is dangerous and crime, poverty, drugs. There is a lot of that there. Yes, there's a lot of drug. I'm not gonna lie. There's some parts. There's a lot of drugs in Baltimore. However, it has the potential to be probably one of the greatest cities in the United States. That's my opinion on it. Baltimore is off the water. You got row houses. You got, in terms of culture, in terms of food, there's better food in Baltimore, in my opinion, than there is in DC. DC, you go for the aesthetics, you go for the museums, you see all the government buildings, you can ride your bike near, all the the water near the wharf. They have their own water in DC, the wharf and Haynes Point. It's not called the Inner Harbor. You're closer to the National Harbor out there, but that's not necessarily. I think it's a weird spot. It's like in between DC, Virginia, and Maryland. It's like all in the centerpiece right there. But you have your water in DC, but in Baltimore you have your water too. You got the Inner Harbor where a lot of people hang out at. In Baltimore, you got your schools, Morgan State, Coppin State, John Hopkins, the number one. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's still the number one medical school in the nation. and you also got a lot of private sector jobs and factory, more blue collar, I want to say, but like it's not even true because you got a lot of white collar jobs in Baltimore too. So you got that type of stuff out in Baltimore. And then the culture, oh man, the culture of Baltimore. You'll see the dudes and sisters with the bubble jackets. You'll see like the very thick slang in the middle of a podcast, sister. Sorry about that. You got my sister always interrupting me while I'm doing my podcast. You got historical landmarks, the what do you call it, the Francis Scott Key, the Star Spangled Banner was made in Baltimore. Oh, a lot of celebrities are from Baltimore. You know, I don't even feel like naming all of them, but you can look them up. A lot of actors, musicians, political people are all from Baltimore. And then on top of that, the culture of Baltimore. Oh yeah. Oh, wait, back. So in Baltimore they wear New Balances too. So I just want to let y'all know. In DC they had like the New Balances, 99 O's, 993s, and all that stuff when I was growing up as a kid. Like in Baltimore they had like the Air Pippins, Air Pips, foam posits. Everybody wore foam posits, and then they had their own version of New Balances. Now, I'm from Arundel County, which I'll explain in a minute, so I wear the 574s. But Baltimore has their own with that, and then they got the thick slang. You hear them saying, you know, dummy, stupid, yo, like, cruddy. Like, it's like, it's a lot of slang and culture that goes into into Baltimore. Some of the stuff I even haven't even participated in. I grew up next to this stuff. Like I've never had a nacho banger before, which I'm planning on doing soon. Salt and pepper chips, of course, we grew up on. There's a lot of stuff that Baltimore has, but it's smaller. Baltimore's a little bit smaller than DC. I think DC is like 700,000 people, while Baltimore is like 650 or 600,000 people. Baltimore reminds me a lot of like Chicago, but also like Philly kind of like takes. I think Philly takes a lot from Baltimore, actually, but Baltimore has like Philly, Chicago, and New York kind of style in it. Here's another thing, like in Be More, the culture's very, I said it's like blue collar, but it's also like a lot of more, since it's close to a lot of like ports, it's very much like a shoreline culture or like coast culture. Like people like be fishing and all this stuff, and hanging out off the docks, getting on boats and stuff. And I'm sure you have a lot of that in DC too, but like I think it's a little bit more popular out in More. And then from a city government standpoint, what do I say? Oh, did my light just go off? No, my light went off. All right, yeah, sorry about that, yo. My light went off. My light went off. So from like a city government standpoint, though, I feel like I want to say Baltimore Police Department more corrupt, but it's not even that they're more corrupt, because DC got its own issues too. Like it's the thing, like from the police department to like the actual city council and all that stuff, they both got a lot of issues, especially with how they treat schools. But I think in terms of the school thing, Baltimore probably got it worse. DC has a lot of issues with like lack of development in certain areas. They just don't see to invest in certain areas, in my opinion. And then now they're implementing like new stop and frisk and all this stuff like that is like kind of like de facto racism kind of policies, like on the on the back burner of like, Marielle Bowser, whatever her name is, the DC mayor, kind of trying to act like she's an ally to us or whatever, putting Black Lives Matter on the ground in front of the White House and stuff like that. It's just it's like a lot of tricky stuff. Like, it's real politics, it's real political in DC. Now, in Baltimore, it's a lot more. You can kind of see the problems for what they are on face value up close. You know, a lot of issues with Baltimore just having to do with city budget issues, maybe misappropriation of funds. Even though I think the new Baltimore mayor, Brandon Scott, he doing his best, like, but it's just so many problems that like came or existed before him that he's trying to clean up, and he's doing a good job. But like, he just gotta attack it, I think, more aggressively. But yeah, like, it was a big police scandal before he got in the office with the Freddie Gray stuff and the gun trace task force planting fake guns on people and robbing them, like police officers robbing them. It was like a lot of like, a lot of inner cities had the whole lead and the water problem. A lot of decrepitness, homelessness, deterioration, and then you got a whole drug enterprise that exists that is causing more and more kids to get killed, and areas to be swamped with murderers and drug dealers and junkies. Oh man, that's the main difference I see. I see a lot of homeless people in DC. I see a lot of junkies in Baltimore. And I hate to call them that, but like, what I'm trying to describe is the state of somebody in a drug deprived or drug damn, what the heck am I trying to say? In a drug dependent state. There you go. So yeah, that's like the issues. That's like the bad side. Don't let them like make it seem like murders happen like any more crazier than it is anywhere else. That's just a bunch of BS. Like, you highlight a lot of the murders are bad. It's an issue, but when you tap down, when you give people resources and money and handle and jobs and handle that economic deprivation, like, you have people in Baltimore that buy whole on lots, whole properties, and let whole neighborhoods deteriorate just for the purpose of the government being able to come and buy the property off of them at a higher price and make it like a historical landmark. Or they have a lot of tricky real estate stuff that happens in Baltimore. That's where you come in. The eminent domain stuff and slum clearance, purposeful urban decay. Well, those are all these political stuff. We'll get into all that some other time. But so yeah, that's Baltimore. And just like with DC, the closer the city is outside of the main city, the closer a city is to DC, the more of it will be like DC. The closer a city is to Baltimore, the more of it will be like Baltimore, even though it's in the county. So all those cities that are closer to Baltimore, that surround Baltimore, Randallstown, Dundalk, that's what's it? Milford Mill, Essex, Woodlawn. Woodlawn's kind of farther, but like, Woodlawn. What is it? Always mix it up. Arbutus is not too far. Brooklyn Park. That's literally connected to like Cherry Hill. That's where my homie's one of my engineers from. All the places that's like real close to Baltimore kind of look a lot like Baltimore. Even Catonsville a little bit, but that's a little bit more farther away. But like, it's a little older of a town. I was just trying to name like Parkville. You got there's a lot. There's a lot, and then you have your neighborhoods in Baltimore, Sandtown, and all that stuff. But I won't get into that. That's more of a unpack Baltimore thing. I actually don't. Interestingly enough, I don't know Baltimore's neighborhoods the way I do DC's. Actually, I can't. I probably am a tie for both. That's the problem with growing up so close to something but not actually living there. But growing up in Anne Arundel County, you kind of know certain neighborhoods or know about certain things. So you kind of I would kind of as a kid going to Baltimore a lot, have birthday parties there, ESPN, go to Port Discovery, go to the aquarium, go play basketball in all the Baltimore areas. Play against Mass, play against City, play against Patterson, a lot of these surrounding Baltimore areas, and in Baltimore, play at the park, Carroll Park, and all that stuff. But yeah, that's the gist of Baltimore. And now you have Anne Arundel County. Anne Arundel County's bigger. I think Anne Arundel County's bigger than PG County, if I'm not mistaken. It's a lot more vast, just because of the environment. Like PG County, like I was saying, has a lot of green in it, and Anne Arundel has a lot of green. I would say like extended cities. And matter of fact, I don't even know if is Ellicott City part of Anne Arundel County. I have to double check, but Anne Arundel County got Annapolis. You got where I was from. You got Glen Burnie. You got Severn. You got no, Columbia might be Howard County. You got Pasadena. You have, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Arbutus is part of Baltimore County. I might be wrong about that. Don't quote me. You got Millersville. You got Severna Park. Hanover. I think Fort Meade is a part of Anne Arundel County. Odenton is a part of Anne Arundel County. You got a lot of little pocket cities. Scenery is less. Well, the farther you get out, it's less city-like. Like, you don't have the row houses that you see in Baltimore unless you're like really close. Like, unless you're oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. But like, there's a not Edmond. There's a city that starts with a E that is like right next to Baltimore that has a lot of row houses and stuff. But you got like a lot more single family homes popping out the farther away you get from there. And then you got your little, the cities kind of revolve around their little chain malls or mini malls or big malls. And the culture is like the same thing with PG County to DC. It's like a watered down version of Baltimore when you go into Anne Arundel County. And people, the kids, especially like in Glen Burnie area. Oh, Jessup. The kids, they got their they they grew up eating the crabs. They grew up on the city. Some of them grew up on Baltimore club music. For y'all, those that don't know about that, that's kind of like the house version. That's like a version of house for Baltimore. They grew up on, anything that kind of like is like quasi like shoreline, quasi Baltimorean is what a lot of the Anne Arundel County kids kind of ascribe to. We use some of the slang words that they, a lot of the slang words that you hear in Baltimore, you hear a lot less of them in the suburbs of Anne Arundel County, but you still hear them like, cutting up and you blowing me, yo, and all. Like, you hear a lot of like stuff that you'll probably hear from somebody from hear somebody from Baltimore say with their accent. But that is the gist of the two cities and 2 counties. So we did DC, Baltimore, Anne Arundel County, and PG County. Oh, and it's another thing to say. I think that honestly, my opinion on it is there's probably more wealth in DC and PG County. And shoot, they ain't comparing to Howard County and even some parts of Montgomery. However, what I will say is in Baltimore and Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County, the homes are a little bit more, the scenery and living space, in my opinion, for middle class homes, they're a little bit more, you get more for your money, if that makes sense. Like you can get like a nice cheaper single family home in a lot of these places that gives you a decent amount of land, and I feel like it's a little bit more cramped in like parts of like PG and DC. Now I'm not talking about like the row houses. Like when you talk about like Baltimore row houses, like that's kind of crap too. Like, but like I mean like you get like it's not as packed in out, in my opinion. It's not as packed in as it is in parts of DC or PG County. Yeah, and then lastly, now I can only give you my experience. And keep in mind that I grew up in PG in Anne Arundel, and I was visiting in DC and visiting in Baltimore. So to the Baltimore dudes be like, he from the county, like, you know what I mean, like DC dudes like he from PG, like, you know what I mean, like that's how they would talk. Slim from PG, like they're not considering me a native. Those who aren't from here might, ask me questions about Baltimore and DC, and I'll definitely be able to answer them to you. But like for some people, for us that actually live here in the DMV, they know, oh, he a county nigga, or he from PG County. Like he know everything I know. DC dude gonna be like, he know about everything I know, but he ain't had no struggle and he grew up a little bit nicer than me. In some cases, it depends on, like, I'm not talking about like the rich kids there's a lot of rich people in DC too. Don't get it twisted. And in Baltimore, like, by the way, home ownership is the highest for blacks in Baltimore, which is crazy. You got more, maybe it's because of expensive properties in PG, but like home ownership is one of the highest in Baltimore. But as far as my opinion on the 4 different places, PG County, Anne Arundel County, DC, and Baltimore, you kind of judge them by the styles of women there. Hey, each area has, the women there got like a different flavor. So I'm gonna put it in perspective for you, and I'm only going off of what I've experienced. So don't be mad. I'll start off like with DC. With DC, here's the thing about the girls. Every DC girl that I've met, for the most part, and this is similar with Baltimore, they kind of, because they grew up there, they grew up in the city, they done seen a little bit more, I guess, of the struggle, if you want to say it like that. But it's like they're kind of, and all of them are smart girls. Baltimore girls and DC girls are mad smart. DC girls will like be from the struggle and they I would say like what I see is like a lot of them, their goal is to move up maybe the corporate ladder in DC and travel, right? Now with PG County girls, which is like I said, always when you think about DC, PG County is like watered down DC. These girls like are more so like their bark ain't, they don't have to. DC girls don't gotta try as hard because they're already from wherever they from. They from the district. They're from Chocolate City. PG County girls kind of like sometimes will act like they're high maintenance. They'll act kind of like hard to get, or like act like sassy for like for play. Like their parents drive Bentleys, not Bentleys. They drive Benz or Mercedes. They grew up in a nice household, but they'll like chase after like kind of like they might like give a little HUD, do a little bit more action, or they'll be sassy for like try to be a like woman, like a grown, some like grown woman stuff. Like they'll try to be a grown woman by like trying to get smarter, like sassy with they choosing, but like they like they're a tease. That's what I'm trying to say. They're a tease, right? And you don't see that like with DC girls. Like you don't see the teasing because like they grew up in DC. They don't really have to do it. They already got the little hood credibility. They in here getting a bag, but they ain't got to like put on nothing for show. Now the DC girls don't got a bag like the PG County girls. Again, I will reiterate that. Like a lot of times they don't. Like the PG County girls, like they're a little bit more bougie. They got like their parents come from a little better, maybe I say come from a better background. These are stereotypes, by the way. These are all stereotypes. Don't nobody call me. Don't nobody kill me. But they come from a little nice, a little nicer around the edges. They not as rough looking. They like to dress well, and they want to build a career so they can travel just like the DC girls. But a lot of them will try to I guess their thing is, I think they like to move around PG. Like I think a DC girl will try to move eventually out of DC, but a PG girl, her thing is to get a bag, be able to go travel, and to get her own place in PG. Okay, so it's almost like small towns. It's almost like weirdly a small town mentality because like I don't have to leave nowhere because I'm already in a nice safe space. I just want to travel and be able to go everywhere. DC girls, like I think their ultimate goal is to get out of DC. I think so. I don't think like a lot of them want to stay, at least not in the place that they want to they grew up in. They more so want to be in like a nicer part of DC or move out of DC. Now, the same thing does not necessarily apply with the Baltimore girls and Arundel County girls. Arundel County girls are, to me, what I've seen, and again, this is just my opinion, okay? Don't none of y'all niggas getting y'all feelings, okay? They're a little bit more small town, okay? You'll see like a lot of my Anne Arundel County girls, right? They might hook up or mate with a dude that like I probably went to high school with. Like you'll see them with a little baby, they a single mother now. They done graduated. They'll get their degree. Don't get it twisted. They might get them a certification. They might get them a they might get them a 2-year associate's degree or a 4-year. And they kind of stay around Anne Arundel County. And it's not that they don't want to travel, I don't think, but like you just don't see the kind of vibrance that you see from like some of the PG and DC girls to get out. They kind of like I feel like they're smart, they comfortable, and like that mentality is like you know, I got me a little. I got me a I got my degree. I did what I had to do. Um, and let me get like a job in like DC or um Baltimore or right in Arundel County and kind of just set up shop here. They might have they baby daddy might, some of them Anne Arundel County girls, some of them will probably bag a Baltimore baby daddy, maybe, but most of them are also gonna have baby daddies that they went to high school with. And I noticed that I swear I cannot lie to you about this. This is my experience. I'm telling y'all, don't get mad at me, but like I'll go online, I'll be on whatever, Facebook or Instagram, see mama I went to high school with. She had a little baby, she had a kid. Then months to years later, I see a picture with that she tagged in or with the baby daddy. Somehow he shows up, he appears, and I'll be like, wait a minute, I know that nigga. I went to high school with that nigga too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that happens. So I do not think it's a coincidence because it don't happen nowhere else. Now, I didn't go to high school anywhere else, but like all the people that I went to like middle school and all these other groups with, they not really ending up with middle school in PG County. Like they not really ending up with like the people that they was hanging around in high school either. I didn't see that so as much, but that's just me. Baltimore girls, how they're different from Anne Arundel County girls. I think the Baltimore girls probably want to get out. In my opinion, they probably function the same way a PG County girl does, except the urgency to get out is a little different. Like you'll see a lot of Baltimore girls hanging out in DC. From what I've seen, like it's kind of weird. It's kind of a mixed one. They might get them a crib out in the Baltimore County region. I don't really see like too many of them getting a crib in like Anne Arundel, but mostly like Baltimore County area. And a lot of them want to relocate like to Atlanta or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like kind of like with DC, but like the difference is style wise. I'll say like style wise, I think like style wise, the DMV girl, like DC and PG girls might have like it's not that their style's better. I think they might have a little bit more, how do I say this? Not more money, but they're a little bit more flat. DC and PG girls are a little bit more flashier to me, if that makes sense. Baltimore girls aren't really like, they ain't trying to like, they are natural stunners. They're not trying to like flex. They're like stuck in a Baltimore bag, if that makes sense. Like they're, you'll see them with like, well, high school they used to wear them little bubble jackets, the little Ugg boots, little leggings. Like it's not really glamour. It's just like they look sexy in like a, not a simple fit, but just kind of like they look like cute in their little clique. A bunch of little Baltimore girls with them little leggings, little Uggs. It's not that they can't be flashy. It's just that like that's not what I don't think that's what they're going for. Like with the PG girls, with Baltimore girls, I think also too, because they grew up next to Baltimore or in Baltimore, and Anne Arundel County girls grew up so close to Baltimore, they also not trying to like, they're like the DC girls in that regard. Like they're not trying to show you that they from DC, like, or you know what I mean. Like I think that's a PG County thing. I ain't gonna lie. Like I think the whole like, oh, playing hard to get, you might have that from all of them, but the whole like showing out, they're not just trying to show out. Now, what I've seen, again, don't get mad. When a Baltimore girl is showing out, she's showing out no because she's actually ghetto. It's like, no, I'm playing. But she's really from the gutter. It's trench activity. But no, yeah, that's kind of what I see with that. Like, it's not a fix. It's not like it's not a show. Like, they're not, they kind of are, but I see a lot of laid backness. That's what I wanted to say. With a lot of the sisters from Anne Arundel County in Baltimore, to me, outside of the ones that's kind of acting like a certain way, like they acting kind of reckless because of whatever, the typical one is a little bit more, because they, I guess, small town mentality, in my opinion, they're a little bit more laid back. Their personalities are a little bit more chiller to me than what you would see with a DC or a PG County girl. And I will say this, I heard it best from this dude. He said it best from he was from Baltimore. He said it best to me. The best way it was described to me was, niggas in DC and PG, they like to box. It's like a lot of energy with them. Like, it's a lot of, I see a lot of not flashy energy, in my opinion. When Baltimore dudes and Baltimore sisters, they like to take you to the ground. They're a little bit more like grimy, on the ground type of attitude. That's how I see it. And you see that, I think, when you communicate with them a lot of times, because it's not, one comes from like a very, you from the district, or you from PG, like you from, a lot of them from, you from Washington D.C, where the White House is, or you know what I'm saying, like you from the district, that's Chocolate City. Baltimore is like, we from Baltimore, like it's Charm City. You get what I'm saying? Those are two Chocolate Cities in your face. Charm City is like, is just strong in its space. It's strong in center. So that's how I kind of look at that. And there was one last thing I was gonna say, but you also see a lot of PG County kids go to Morgan State too. I will say that PG County kids go to, like, a lot of them be going to Morgan State. They be going to Bowie State. You might have a couple go to Howard, and Anne Arundel County kids, you see a lot of them go to, like, some of the other Maryland schools. College Park, I see a lot of Anne Arundel County kids go to College Park. Baltimore kids, Anne Arundel, like Coppin State, College Park, Salisbury, McDaniel, Frostburg, a lot of those, like UMBC, a lot of those, like not maybe not as popular Maryland schools. That's the ones they kind of go to, or somebody goes to Virginia. Now, these are all stereotypes, so everybody kind of go everywhere, but like a lot of people, like a couple will try to go to like a Virginia school and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of like that, y'all. That's like pretty much the gist of them. It's definitely heavy out here. It's definitely heavy. DC, Baltimore, PG, Anne Arundel. I'll probably do another video talking more. I like talking about the ladies a lot. I want more ladies. Comment, give me some feedback. I like hearing y'all voices. Give me some of that feminine energy. Fellas, keep supporting me. I love y'all. I hope y'all like that video. Please comment. I want to hear some of the takes, because, like, the DMV itself, or the DMVB, Baltimore, it is a lot of culture, a lot of history here. Again, I said, like, we're one of the richest, most educated states in the United States, and we got two different cultures, two different spectrums. A lot of action, a lot to do, not too many places you go to where you can be like, hey, I don't want to be in this city today. I want to go to this bigger city. I want to go to this. We got between Virginia, Baltimore, all the wealth from Virginia, and all the stuff to do in Virginia, Alexandria, Arlington, McLean, Tysons, Pentagon City, all the stuff over there. Pentagon City Mall, like Anne Arundel County. Oh, that's not Pentagon City Mall, and then Anne Arundel County, there's Arundel Mills Mall. Columbia's not in Anne Arundel County, I don't think. Then Towson and Baltimore stuff, and then you got DC and PG stuff, all the stuff that's out there, MGM's in Virginia as well. It's a lot to do out here. You can go to 3 different places and the surrounding counties next to them and have a good old time. You don't have that tri-state like you do in other places. So I hope y'all like this video. I'm going to try to drop another one. I'm glad I got this one to y'all. I got 2 this month because I've been sleeping. The last couple months I slept and didn't give y'all nothing. But I hope y'all enjoy it. And I'll probably get y'all another video soon. That's it, y'all. Hope y'all like the fit. I might post a picture. All right, peace. Mike Fulahope, your favorite podcast, the Mike Fulahope podcast. We out.